Yeah.
So actually tell us a little bit about, HTS Coatings located in Illinois, Madison, Illinois. Tell us a little bit about all that you do for your customers.
So what we do is we provide a thermal spray coating. So thermal spray,
Hmm.
we like to say, is spray painting with molten metal, usually a protective coating for, yeah, I know, right? That's like the best way to
That,
explain it. Um, and then most people, I guess, don't really can't picture exactly what we do, because they've never seen it before. Just like never written an article about it before, but it has
hmm
been around since the 1940s. The technology has. They were spraying tanks in World War II with a flame spray. So as the technology has progressed, we've gotten obviously better too as the years have come through. But really, our coatings provide wear and corrosion resistance to many, many different industries, many different components.
hmm
Where HTS lives, so thermal spray again is in every single industry, every industry. You
Right.
just haven't heard of us. HTS, we
Right.
specialize we specialize in general industrial power generation, oil and gas, transportation. So those are kind of those markets that we play in. Are you coming into this meeting, or Jason just stepped into my office? So no, you don't have to be. If you he just came into my office, I
Yes.
was like, oh, are you coming in?
Very. Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes. I
so
also saw glass, right?
yeah, oh yep,
The
we do a lot of glass. Yep, yep. So
Oh,
that
okay.
that that's fun too. So I like to say that uh everybody's talking in my office.
That's okay.
I like to say that in 2020, when oil and gas tanked, people drank more beer, and so our glass
There we
manufacturing
go.
went
Yeah.
went through the roof. So we were very thankful if you drank a beer in 2020.
Right, exactly. Yes, probably made by
Yeah,
something that you all coated with that.
right.
So the big phrase is hard chrome replacement. That
Yeah,
is
definitely.
that because
Yep.
it's hard chrome has been targeted for
Hmm.
decades.
Yep.
They can't seem to get away from it. Everybody says it's horrible. It's terrible. But some of the people, aerospace, defense, and those type of things, and other don't want to get away from it. But like I said, the thermal spray is something that really can
Yep.
compete with that on the market,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, and that's why we launched our product called BTHC 005.
Hmm.
So we actually applied for a trademark last year, so we're working through that right now. But yeah, we saw that need too, and we know that the replacement for chrome is coming, and we do believe thermal spray is a viable option. So is it the solution for everything that has been
Right.
chrome plated? No, no. We do have limitations, but so I have a couple of customers that actually have tested this new product for us. So one is using a manufacturing, they're actually like hydraulically pressing a very abrasive material into a shell, is what they call it. And they chrome
Gotcha.
plated that inside of that shell. And I was like, well, let's just spray our BTHC in there, see how it holds up in comparison to chrome. So they did that for us, and they're running it now. And actually, so they would get about 3,000 presses in their manufacturing process. Today,
Right.
I think there
Right.
are over 25,000 presses now
Mm,
with our
wow.
coating.
That's
So so not only are we like replacing the chrome and the hexavalent and the you know the the environmentally damaging material, but we're also offering a solution that will last sometimes 8 times longer than a chrome plating. So
right.
again, we have limitations. So our biggest limitation is an ID. So we can't go less than 4 inches in an ID. So if you're getting something
Right.
dipped, a teeny tiny little,
Mm,
we just can't get in there. So that
right.
would be the thing where we can't compete. There might be some other options, and I think that that's why Chrome has not gone away, is because they can't find anything
Right.
that fits in that hole. So
Right, right.
um,
Yeah, that's gonna say that's big. The key is to keep it in there.
yeah,
But it's funny because you all thermal spray is one. You do grinding. You do a lot of things there,
yeah,
right?
we do.
And
Yep,
really a one-stop shop for people
that's
that need whatever services. That, like you said, rebuild or what. I'm trying to think of the word that
yeah,
we use. Not
remanufacturer. Yep.
remanufacture. Yeah.
Yep.
So tell us about what else that you all do there.
So yeah, so definitely the grinding and machining, as you said that, and then also where we've really kind of seen a great increase. Actually, I got a couple samples on my desk right here. Is we are doing a
Hmm.
PTA weld and a weld
Okay.
overlay. So we're really training up our guys on that. We just got some certifications too. We're working on getting about 3 more weld certifications. So our welding department, and don't like we're not a fab shop. So we're
Right.
not fabbing stuff. We are doing the exotic, weird stellites, the colmanoids, weird weld overlays. Um,
Right.
yeah, I know. It's just so
Yeah.
we're really just like, I don't know, we're just so different from anything that I've ever really, it's hard to find an association too because we don't
Right.
really fit.
You're right. You kind of
We're
do a
not like
lot of different
welding.
things. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Right.
So, but yeah, our
And
goal
like I
is
said, go ahead. You're talking about your goal. Yeah.
our goal is to be our one-stop shop for our customers. So
Right.
if they want to get a part machined, we can do that in-house. We can spray it, we can grind it, or we can weld overlay it, and then we can grind it as well. So we're always looking at how to increase our capacity there to again
Right.
be our customers' one-stop shop. We like to say we offer large company capabilities with small company care. Because
Right.
we offer every thermal spray solution out there. So every technology except for cold spray is underneath our roof here in Madison, Illinois. So um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I was
kind of
gonna say
fun.
because thermal spray, you're talking HV air fuel, right? And then
Yep,
is it oxy fuel?
yep,
And then the plasma and arc, I believe. So
yep. Arc
you've got
and
a
flame.
lot of
Yep,
them there, right?
yep. We
Yeah.
do, we do. So and then and again I think people think that when they come into our shop, I think a lot of them have expected us to be just, a mom and pop shop in our garage, but we have 7 robotically controlled spray booths. We're trying to be top of the line. We want to be a leader in the thermal spray industry, and how do we do that
Right.
well? We be the one-stop shop for our customers. So we offer every solution that we can. And it's funny. There's different times that different processes are great. Like we can tell when somebody does a talk on plasma spray because we get a lot of requests for plasma. And again,
Right.
it's just and that's the hard thing about selling for us too is we ask the customer what is your problem and then we'll work backwards. It's like
Right.
algebra.
Mm.
Here's the solution. How did we get there? Let's get you to that solution. So
Right.
we do have a team of engineers who will sit and brainstorm with you. They've seen a lot. So and they
Right.
love. I
Right.
call them the bad scientists. They love to mix the metals and do all sorts of fun things. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah.
um,
It's
I love
it's funny because
it.
I was gonna say, it's. I'm sure you all have found this is that a lot of your customers they want to give you a part, have it, have you work on it, without sending it out to anybody else, right? And I'm sure that's
Right.
what precipitated having the coding process. Was
Yep.
that always something you all had, or was it?
Um, so our story starts, it'll be 10 years actually in June since we've been in
Mm,
business. And our story was, so Jason, my husband, worked for St. Louis Metallizing. So St. Louis
hmm
Metallizing had been doing thermal spray for about 50 years. And they were downtown St. Louis, and the land that the company was on was worth more money than the actual business was bringing in.
mm.
So corporate decided that they were going to liquidate. And again, there's this whole big funny story. Like I was huge pregnant. He came home from work and was like, "Let's do this." And I was like, "Sure, pregnancy brain, let's do it." Um,
Right. Right.
but God just had bigger plans for us too. We cashed
Mm,
in everything. We're savers by nature, so we cashed in our 401k, laid it
mm,
literally all on the line. Got a small business loan, and when they closed their doors, they had an auction to liquidate the equipment. We went to the auction, brought it across the river, and just
mm.
started from there. The
Wow.
story goes like we had customers at our door and we didn't even have power in this building, so we rented generators and we were plugging in grinders with extension cords. So like it just was craziness.
Right.
But we just haven't looked back. We hit the ground running and
Right.
just run with it.
Do you ever look back and think, how did we make it? I
Oh
mean,
my God.
because the odds are so stacked against you,
Yes.
right? I mean, they're so high,
Yeah.
and like I said, and call it whatever you was. I mean, to have that, you see people go into it with very open eyes, but and I'm sure you felt the days when you were like, why did we
It's
get it?
over.
How are
Yeah.
we going to do this? But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to do what you all did.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, it is,
Yeah.
and
I don't take it for granted that like I my faith is very, very strong, and I think God just had a bigger purpose for us. And if it hadn't been for Him on our side, I don't think we would have made it. There are so many things
right,
that like I'm like kicking against the door, like, why isn't this door opening? And then you come to find out, oh, God was protecting us from that opportunity that was not right for us. So just
Right. Careful what
so
you wish for sometimes.
right.
Right.
There
Yeah,
are, I could tell
exactly.
you story after story about that, but it is not lost on me. Actually, my son is reading a business book right now. I can't remember which one, maybe Traction or Extreme Ownership or something.
Mm,
And he said that in the book, it said like 90% of companies in the United States don't make it past 10 years.
never. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
and
very, very hard.
he's
Yeah.
like,
Even
Mom,
in the first
yeah,
couple of years are the hardest, right? I
oh
mean,
my
it's
gosh,
been
yes, it's so hard.
right because you're putting everything up front,
Yep.
and you've got to. Sometimes you're not going to pay yourself with those things. And then I
Oh
guess did
yeah,
I see where? Yeah, I was going to say is that did I see that like after the first couple of years you kind of had a change in because
ownership.
really
Yep.
the people you brought some people with you that Jason had worked with, right?
Right. Right. Yep.
And started it out, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And we
Yeah.
did have a minority partner too at the very, very beginning, and I can't tell you a ton about that, but
Sure.
we bought them
Sure.
out about 18 months into it. So yeah, different ideas of what it means to be a small business owner too. And again, like you said, I don't think we fully grasp, and I don't even know that. I think some of it, it's like labor. You just get through it and then you forget about it,
Right.
and then like,
Right. Right. Move
like,
on to the next one. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Because like when you think back, like, oh my gosh, if I sat in that, like that, those were some very, very, very difficult times. Um, and again, it's not for everyone. So we bought our partner out pretty quickly.
Mm,
So yeah, that was also hard too, like buying out your partner.
right.
And but
Right.
then we joined C12, which is the retreat that we're going to this week. In 2018 is when we joined that. And I'll tell you, Jason's an engineer. I'm an accountant by trade. We are not executives. I did not grow up in
Right.
a an entrepreneur home. A lot of my friends are like, my dad was a serial entrepreneur. I'm like, no, my dad was an engineer. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't see this
Right.
modeled for me. I don't know what it means to be a small business owner. So we joined C12, and I tell people they gave us our executive's degree. So it's once a month,
Right.
every month, and they just go and tell you how to lead your business, how to do things. And without that, we would have failed. So, oh, okay, sorry. Um, so I think
Yeah, it's
C12
funny
helped.
because yeah, I was gonna say because it's funny is that you probably tell yourself that you probably tell others who ask what you do that you're a whether you do the grinding, machining, welding,
Yep.
coating, but that's not what you are. You're a business owner, right?
Mhm.
You have to make a profit. And
Yep.
I think some people forget that. Well, I'm a powder coater or I'm an electroplater or I'm a welder and everything. No, you're a business owner. You
Yep.
have to have you have to keep more of the money you earn. That's I had someone tell me that last year. I asked them, "What's your goal?" And they said, "Make more money, but keep more of the money that I earn." It's like they spend a lot of money with other people, but no, it is like you said on the job training with a lot of times with that. So,
Yep.
what I was going to ask you, so Jason had that experience in all those categories, right? And
He did.
metallizing and all those
Yep.
things. What was your experience, even that, or even working in a factory manufacturing
Yeah.
setting?
Yeah. So actually, in college, I worked at a headlight manufacturer, third shift.
Hmm.
So that was
Right.
awesome. And actually, and I didn't like these things. Like I don't know, they just bubble up in me, I guess.
Hmm.
But I remember I was out there and I was like timing them, like, hey, you know what? If we can move this closer, and I'd never read anything on lean
Right.
manufacturing, any of those things, but I'm like, hey, if we do this, and if we had the razors right here, we could cut this off a lot quicker. And looking back on that, I'm like, okay, that was preparing me for things in the future, that I just didn't know about. But again, my background is in accounting, so I worked for a Ford dealership for a little bit,
Mm,
worked for an interior designer, um, for that taught me a lot of inventory controls. So again, like all of
right.
these experiences kind of just brought me here to HTS. At the very end, so I actually worked for a sister company of St. Louis Metallizing. So I was the
Oh, okay.
controller of a sister company, and then actually worked as a consultant for corporate when they were terminating and laying off everyone
Mm,
at St. Louis Metallizing. So
wow.
that was fun.
Right. Well, I was going to say you two have such a complementary skill set
Oh
in
yeah.
that I know a lot of manufacturing people that own manufacturing and business who don't know their numbers,
Yep.
right? And they get into trouble that way. And then there's people that again know their numbers. And I think in any business you have to know what things cost. I mean, I remember it being at a shop one time, but actually it was electroplating shop, and the conversation came up of when a line goes down, and I said, how much? And I remember asking him, how much do you lose when a line stops?
Yep.
And he said, I have no idea. And I'm thinking, wow, because you'll never get it back. I
Right.
mean, it's you have to know what things are costing to understand how much you should be charging and being fair and competitive and those type of things. So, it almost seems like, one of you is the brake, one of you is the gas, but, it's kind of
Yeah.
like that it worked. I guess it works out very well to have those great skill sets complementing each other.
It does, yeah. So Jason, we run on EOS and they call it a visionary integrator. So Jason is more the mad scientist, visionary, like let's invest. He was the one who said, let's invest in the HVAF system. That's the new technology out there. And that's the one that we were able to develop that hard chrome replacement, because he saw it. He's that visionary.
Right.
And then I am the integrator too, like the boots on the ground. Let's write POs. Let's make sure our costs are correct. And then funny that you say that about our costs too. We actually just hired a new director of ops. We took him from Houston. He has experience in thermal spray. We moved him to St. Louis. And I remember the first time he looked at our job cost summary, he's like, what? Why are we accounting for all of this stuff? I'm like, because we need to know exactly how much it costs down to the penny,
Exactly.
So and he's like, this is
Right.
excessive. I'm like, I don't care. Do it our way, And now he's like, oh, yeah, you were right. Making sure that we capture all that stuff.
Right. To
Yes.
capture it all. Yeah. It's
but
that. So yeah, I was going to say that's the thing that you've got to know. And so you just added the HVAF. Is that something recently that you've added
So
with
in
that, or is that
2019, we added it in 2019.
okay? Right.
And so we do say, and but we are probably the leader in the HVAF in the thermal spray world. We are, that I know of, the only company in the United States that has 3 working units. So we have them in 3 different booths. And they don't ever turn off. So we have so much work for
Wow.
those units that it's phenomenal. So
Right.
I'm very
Right.
glad that
Yeah.
we invested in that. It was a learning curve for sure. We spent a lot of money in R&D and learning how to run those things. But once we got it, we were able to again do that coating. That's that chrome replacement. So I think that's going to
Right.
be the future. That's the future of thermal spray is
Right.
replacing chrome.
Yeah. I had a gentleman tell me who had one of those. I think it was last year or this year. Was telling me it's like coating with a jet engine. He
Oh
was
yeah.
telling me it's like
Yep.
it's that. Yeah.
Yep.
How do you? I mean, I guess you have to. Part of it is educating some of your customers or potential customers
Yep.
who may
Yep.
be thinking, no, I want that hard chrome. That's the way it's always been.
Yep.
Those type of things. I mean, how do you go about educating them on that? Because it's not like you can just, it's an easy process where you can just put it on and let them try it out. I mean, there's got to be a really convincing to do them that way,
Yeah,
isn't it? Or
it is. And so it's like that shell, it's okay, let's go halvesies kind of on it, I want you to test it, see if it works. Um it's really that. It's like a lost lead. But so many have realized that revenue is coming in now. So I think that's really
right.
it's paying itself back. Um, and then, I mean, we have presentations and our marketing is around a lot of that too. But that's really our whole process is just educating the customer too on what we can and
Right.
do. I'm working
Right.
now on like beefing up our website so that people can actually
Mm,
ask questions specifically about thermal spray, like go in and like,
mm,
would it be okay to coat it on, like needle bearings? Well, no, we wouldn't suggest that. And, so like a question and answer, like a bot almost on our website to
right.
ask questions about thermal spray because we do get a lot of like, my favorite one was somebody emailed me and asked if I could thermal spray a pool noodle. And I was like, I don't think
I
that'll
can't
work
see that
really
happening.
well. So
That's pretty
again,
interesting. What?
yeah, yeah. She's like, well, we're a premium pool noodle manufacturer. I'm like, well, that's great, and I love pool noodles, but I don't think it's gonna
Right.
work too
Right.
great.
Yeah. And
So
and you
again,
said I was gonna say the BTHC
mhm,
product that you have
yeah.
it's your proprietary product, right? And
Yep.
how long have you had that out available for?
So we have been actually we worked on it, tweaked it quite a bit, but really perfected it probably in the last two years is what we've really perfected it. Um,
Gotcha.
Probably in 19 we were scratching the surface on the R&D of it and discovering it, so but it's really just taken about 2 years to really perfect it. So that's where we're at
Right.
now. but we get a lot of
Right.
traction on it. We have a whole presentation, and then, like you said, we just go to trade shows and just push it out there as much as possible, educate as many people as we can.
Right. Okay. What does those letters mean? BTHC? Is it
Better than hard chrome.
Well, you know what's funny? I just talked to somebody the other day, and his product was TCJ 50 or whatever it was, and I said, "What is it?" And it's the crown jewel, the TCJ. But no, but no, like you said, and that's actually is it 0.00055? Is that's actually a measurement, isn't it?
It, so that's not a measurement, but that's basically the number of tries we got to get there, like WD-40,
Got like
So
WD-40. There you go. Yes. Right.
so it took us
Right.
about that many times to get it to where it's good to go.
Right. Okay. So,
Yeah,
like I said, proprietary, and like I said, and so it's like you said, you all. It seems like you're investing in a lot of the research that you need to get done
yeah,
with this yourself. Having, like I said, having engineers on staff and those type of
yeah.
things, and I guess really to serve those customers that to really try, I guess, try to be an extension of those customers that you
That's
have.
exactly right.
You're there. You meet. Like I said, the welding, grinding, and the coating. Division for them, right? You're going to take care of it all and get it right back to them without having to send it around and
Exactly.
and kind of owning the whole process for them. I'm sure.
That's the goal. Yeah. And again, it because of the vast diversity of parts that we see, we can't be that for every customer. We'd have to have
Mm,
a million different shops, a million different grinders. So it's focusing on the customers that are bringing us repeat business. How can we service them more? And that's
right.
really something that it's just a strategy, and I don't know that we've solved that really well, Tim, but we're still working on
That's
that.
right. I'm still working on
You
it.
can't be everything to everyone,
Right.
but doing our best to at least be the best for our main good customers. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. How many people do you have working for you there now at your
So
facility
today
now?
we have 27, but we're actively looking to hire about four more. So
Mm,
yeah, yeah, we'd love to run an additional shift, so maybe a third shift or maybe a weekend shift,
mm,
just because the biggest concern we have right now is our lead times. So again, we want to
mm.
be that solution, and we are for many people, and that's why our booths are full. So but
Right.
we gotta turn that work a little bit faster. And we have our motto is like light them up. So as long as our guns are on, that's a good thing. So just keeping those
Right.
guns on and running. So we have two booths that are basically fully automated, that we have actually a rotating wall, so the operator can load the parts while the gun is
Mm.
spraying, and then it turns around and then it keeps spraying while they're loading and offloading, to
Wow.
get stuff out faster. Um, but yeah, lead time is probably our biggest concern right now, and then getting people in and trained. We do have a really
Right.
good training program. We have it's all digital too. So it's just finding those right people. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
know
As like I
everybody's
said,
struggling with that.
yeah, it's so funny because I hear so many people now that are going to the kind of a drastic measure of just buying other companies to get the personnel sometimes,
Mhm.
and it's like I don't know, I can't imagine the numbers of how that works. Then, like you said, of expanding and then trying to get employees in and doing all that, it's just like I'd rather just go out and buy another place. But it seems that that there is a way to kind of incrementally add people on to the process with that. But what other anything else that you are going to be adding anytime soon, or is it just kind of
um,
uh,
so I mean, buying another company has always been kind of in the 3-year plan. But I
mm,
don't know that that's like nothing that I would say, yeah, that's in the plan.
right,
Really, right now, it's we're gonna beef up what we got so that we can turn stuff quicker for our customers, especially for those oil and gas companies. They want stuff really, really fast. So how do you play in that
right,
market? You have to turn it fast. So that's really where we're at in our biggest goal is to grow there. We are reinvesting in the company right now too, so we just got a nice little influx of capital that we're gonna put some new equipment back in.
mm,
More of what do you call it? Infrastructure. So just
mm,
because we've grown so fast, so making sure
right.
that things are following our infrastructure really well. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see where we go with that.
Let's.
So if we get
I
our
was going to say,
infrastructure really well, yeah, we could
I
probably
was going to
increase
say
our.
it's amazing. It's amazing what 10 years have done. I mean, and
Oh
like I
my
said,
God.
you guys have done. you guys have done a lot more than what a company 40 years around is doing, but it seems to me like you all have the mantra that, when opportunity arises, you kind of have to move quickly with it. And, being
Exactly.
privately held and, and,
Yep.
doing that. But I get, there is that, just dawned on me, I guess there is that drawback that, when you guys leave the shop, do you still focus on the shop even on your home time and off times? That's got to be difficult because,
It,
you know,
yeah, that
you know,
that's probably the oh man, yeah. So purposefully sometimes I leave my computer and like I can't do it. Um,
right,
but it's really about getting the right people in the right seats is what we say.
right,
In the last 6 months, so we've hired quite a few people, and I think that we are at that point where like this week, Jason and I are gonna unplug for 3 days. So I think that'll just
right,
be it, and there are just moments where you just have to absorb those 3 days and be okay with it just being 3 days and like coming back and having to work the week. That's okay, like it. And I think we've done it for 10 years too. Like it's just part of who we are now.
right. Well,
um,
it seems to be the test of true great business is if the owners or the most principal people can walk away for a bit,
oh yeah,
3,
yeah,
4, 5 days. If you can't, then you've got problems
right,
that probably need to be addressed, right? And you need to
right.
be able to just leave and let those people, run it for you. I mean, that
Yep,
that seems to be. I've seen that with a lot of companies where people just say, I can't get away, I can't get away. Well, that's a
yep,
fundamental problem,
yep,
right?
for
You've
sure.
got to be able to do that. So yeah,
For sure. And I mean,
definitely.
we laugh because I've quit like 50 times, from the stress of it all. Like I'm done, I quit. And I think those are those moments where you're like, okay, what can I delegate? What can somebody else do? Maybe not as well as that or I think as well as me, like that prideness, but what can I give to get it off my plate so that we can go away for a couple days? We do have 4 children too. So, um,
Right.
and like you said, we're never
Mhm.
going to get that time back with them either. So making sure that we're available to
Right.
them. Um, like a couple Fridays ago, I took off to go to a field trip, because that's important. Those are things that
Right.
we'll never get back. So, um, managing that is always a learning thing for me. um,
Right.
and I don't know that I do it really well, but I'm doing the very best that I can.
Right.